Good day everyone, I am Rachel GUZMAN, and in this video I shall delve into the language of legal documents, specifically law. But before that, what do you think are the difference in notions, talks, and discussions when it comes to law compared to the other field? Is it all about defense and arguing? Well, to learn the language of law, this discussion will guide you. For the outline of my discussion, these will be the lessons I shall discuss. These lessons will help you amass ideas on in-depth matters regarding the language of law. And to begin with, we have the concept of legal discourse. Legal language in English is far less a variety absorbed during legal training, and it is sometimes referred as the learning how to talk like a lawyer. In legal discourse, the meaning is characterized by justice and fairness. This is due to the law's primary function, which is to keep human behavior under control and society in order. Furthermore, the law's additional meaning is added to the common core meaning of language. Whatever boundaries we adopt, what we call legal language is a kind of discourse, hence legal discourse. When you say legal discourse, it associates with language and discourse. To define, language, specifically the human language, is a product and of itself that our forefathers created and recorded its existence. Whatever meaning it carries comes from the society in which the language is recorded. In this sense, we can say that language is a product that exists and is ready for us to use, and that when a language is used, whether orally or in writing, many factors influence the common core meaning, such as who uses it for whom, how is it used, and for what purposes. Next is we have the discourse. According to Govin's 2007, legal discourse can be taken as a text word. In such a word, not just how a particular text is constructed, but how the context surrounding the text influence its production and reception. Additionally, the lexis, grammar, semantics, register, and genre are all aspects of language in which the discourse are also linked with. And from the Routledge Handbook of Forensic Linguistics, anchored by Coulthard and Johnson 2010, there are four components of language of law. The first component is legal language. It includes the legal talk from police interviews and the trial discourse. The legal writing, which observes the specificity, complexity, attitude, and emphasis. And lastly is the legal translation. In this component, what suits best is the face-to-face discussion. The second component is participants in police investigations, interviews and interrogations, which include the citizens, emergency calls, sexual offenses, police and lawyer interviews. However, in interrogation, you have the right to refuse to answer any question. That is what we call the rights against self-incrimination, and hence in this component, nonverbal cues are usually triggered off. To also add, gestures are nonverbal semiotic systems. In a discourse, the study of language of law and other resources like gestures falls in the study of multimodality. And the third component is courtroom genres, including the historical courtroom, trial narratives, prosecution, and defense closing speeches. Leniency pleas are associated in these components. And for the fourth component is lay participants in the judicial process, including instructions to jurors, rape victims, vulnerable witnesses, false confessors. The language in this component is the most confidential. It involves the case stories. And at this juncture, I will discuss the linguistic features relatively found in the language of law. The first feature is the lexical. Technical terms are words or phrases used in specialized fields to refer to objects or concepts unique to that field for which no adequate terms exist in ordinary language. In the context of law, there are lists of examples that are found, such as the warranty deed, criminal proceedings, prosecutor fiscal, grantee, and divorcee. Apart from technical terms, we also have common terms, but the meaning of these terms vary on workplace or the domain. And here are the examples. The word is assignment. Usually, the constructed definition of it is a task, but in the context of law, it means the transference of a right, interest, or title. Or to make it simple to understand, if you own a piece of property or have rights in a contract and would like to transfer it either of these items to another person, you can make an assignment. But in law, before you can make an assignment, there are legal procedures you should attend to. Another examples are instance. It means formal legal document. Next is deed, which means signed and sealed document that contains a confidential matter. And lastly is principal. It means corpus of state. The next feature is formality. In legal pleadings, formal use of words are produced by lawyers. In history, Anglo-Norman urbanized into Law French, from which many words in modern legal English are resulting to, such as property, state, chattel, list, executor, and tenant. In order to render the legal documents highly formal and dignified, lawyers often employed words and phrases that are unique to this variety, such as hereinafter, hereto, hereby, hereof, aforesaid, whosoever, thereof, and therein. And just to add, the use of Law French has an enduring influence on the general linguistic register of modern legal English. It gives an idea for some of the complex linguistic structures engaged in legal writing. In addition, in year 1363, the Statute of Pleading was enacted, which stated that all legal proceedings be conducted shall be in English, and that marked the beginning of formal legal English. However, Law French continued to be used in some forms into the 17th century, but it became increasingly disintegrate. And the next features are under syntax. But first and foremost, syntactic features are probably more distinctive of legal English, and certainly this accounts for more difficulties to be comprehended. The first feature is the unique determiner. The most common used determiner in law is the word said, which are used and vary in a way specific only for the legal discourse. It means this, the particular, or the one that is being concerned, and no other. For example, the said property. And another type of linguistic feature under syntax is we have the negatives, or simply the negation of statement. These are frequently used when a lawyer disagrees the statement from the other side. For example, objection, Your Honor, that question is illogical. Other words also are used, such as irrelevant, mislead, and so on. Also, the use of prefixes like an, in, or and ill are noticeable when it comes to the negation of statement. And now, let's proceed with the semantic features. Legal documents are to be scrutinized, not only by the parties concerned, but by lawyers. So whoever draws up a legal text is constantly and inescapably concerned with a special kind of meaning that he or she is called upon to produce. He or she must meet the demands such as to be precise and exact, to avoid ambiguity, to evade the possibilities of misinterpretation, and to conform to the linguistic dictates of the law. That is why, if you observe, lawyers tend to apply lexical repetition in order to achieve exactness of reference, leaving no loopholes or whatsoever. And these legal documents tend to use lexical repetition as the formal device to link their long and self contained sentences. The repetition of the same exact word or words not only occurs between sentences but also between different parts within the same sentences. And repetition within the same sentence is remarkably unique in this variety. Another type of feature is conjunctional phrases. This means coordination of words and phrases, which are another remarkable feature of legal texts. The most frequently seen conjunctional phrases are last will and testament, children and issue, heirs and devices, provisions and stipulations, full force and effect, and lastly, terms and conditions. And for the summary of this lesson, I had discussed the legal discourse that ties language and discourse in a specific field. There are also four components that intertwined in the language of law, such as legal language, participants in police investigations, interviews and interrogation, courtroom genres, and lay participants in the judicial process. These four components plays an immense role in making us understand law. Furthermore, lexical features are also found, such as the technical terms. These are the terms that has a specific meaning within a specific field. Next are the common terms with uncommon meanings. These are the language registers. Next is formality, the use of high degree terms. Another linguistic feature is the syntactic features having unique determiners and negatives. And lastly is we have the semantic features having lexical repetition and conjunctional process. And to wrap up this video is I have presented here the references that I have used to discuss the language of legal documents, specifically law. And that concludes my presentation. That's all. Thank you.